Hello and welcome to the post-match show. Just before we started the show, Snehashish off the camera, he was saying Pat Cummins lost in Ahmedabad, and that was our talking point before the start of the game. That will Pat Cummins inspire his team, and will SRH breach the fortress, Ahmedabad fortress? That didn't happen. So the streak continues. SRH yet to win a game in Ahmedabad, and what a dominating victory by Gujarat Titans. They needed this win to go to the top of the points table, and they did in an emphatic fashion. Biggest win for Gujarat Titans in terms of runs, and lowest total defended in Ahmedabad, lowest total registered by SRH while batting second. So a lot of history made today, and one-sided affair. It was a lopsided affair right from the start. If you look at the way this game started, SRH won the toss. They got what they wanted. They wanted to bowl first. They started really well. Praful Inge getting the two informed batters, Josh Butler and Shubman Gill, and there it felt like, okay, now because SRH have made the early inroads, now they can put pressure on the GT middle order. But GT middle order, Sai Sudarshan again, two Chennai boys. First was one Sai Sudarshan and then Washington Sundar at the end. You know, somehow they got the team to a, I won't say a par total, but it was still a sub par total. If you look at the par total this year, it has been 180, but 168 was what all GT managed to post, courtesy of the two half centuries by Sai Sudarshan and Washington Sundar. There was a brisk cameo played by Nishan Sindhu. It was very important because Sai Sudarshan was struggling at one end, and somebody had to take the bowlers on in the power play. Nishan Sindhu did that really well while batting at number 4. So it was a good total, but given the assistance that Pacers were getting on that wicket, it was a defendable total. And given the bowling attack that GT has, Mohammad Siraj starting with that wicket maiden, Travis had no clue where the ball went. It was such an ugly looking shot. He was in no position to play that shot, and that wicket maiden set the tone. Then Kagiso Rabada came in, bowled 4 hours on the trot. I haven't seen Kagiso Rabada bowling his full quota in one spell. So that happened. 3 wickets in his first spell. And once Mohammad Siraj and Kagiso Rabada were done, then came in Jason Holder and Prasidh Krishna, and then those two, continued the carnage. They were regged in, and then they got the wickets. And then at the end, Rashid Khan, who didn't got a single over because it was two seam friendly conditions in Ahmedabad. So, but he also got 1 over and then took the final wicket. So overall, a very convincing, comprehensive victory for Gujarat Titans, which takes them to the top of the points table. And a lot of positives to take for Gujarat Titans, especially the way their bowling is looking. Uh, it is hard to argue that this is one of the finest bowling attacks, if not the finest, in this particular season of the IPL. But Bharat, I'll start with you. Where exactly it went wrong? Because for SRS they started really well, won the toss, got what they wanted, and then they got the prince, the important wicket of Shubman Gill. We know how dangerous he can be in Ahmedabad, and he got out. Josh Butler got out. You had things in your hand, but then I think they lost the wicket. They lost the plot in the middle overs. Ishan Malinga couldn't make impact today, and even spinner Shivang Kumar also struggled. So, where do you think it went wrong for SRH in this particular game?
Or rather, they were beaten by a better team in the prevailing conditions because I think Gujarat Titans just were too good for them in these conditions. They had the required pace attack, they had the required method with the bat in hand to ensure that they would get to a competitive total. And on in these conditions versus this tall boys club, 168 seemed like 250. They just made it seem like that because all the four tall fast bowlers, so three plus one Siraj, all of them were getting the ball to nip around. Uh, three of those four were getting a lot of bounce, so it was going to be always going to be very difficult for SRH. So I think you have to just give it to Gujarat Titans attack. If this is the attack that's going to play somewhere in the final, if they're going to again leave grass, the curator is again going to leave grass. they need to take a Herculean task for the opposition to beat Gujarat Titans. That is, I'm just saying it in an imaginary sense that if Gujarat Titans come to the final and if they again leave grass. So, yeah, I think hats off to Gujarat Titans. The bat in hand, they just follow kind of a method. They understood that there is grass around, the ball is nipping around. So they try to take their time. They try to build a platform, and then obviously they somehow found that accelerator pedal right in the slog overs. Again, Washington Sundar seems to be having that kind of confidence now in his batting for T20 cricket. And then their pace attack just exploded on a pitch where the ball nipped around a little bit and there was some bounce. I don't think the conditions were so bad for batting, just that the quality of pace attack was such that that score of 168 suddenly seemed like a score of 250. I think that key difference, I think, just Gujarat Titans were too good for Sunrisers Hyderabad rather than where did Sunrisers Hyderabad go wrong. We just still want to find a mistake. I would say Sunrisers Hyderabad tried too many cutters on this pitch where the ball nipped around rather than looking to hit the seam, which is what basically Gujarat Titans' fast bowlers did. They basically try to hit the seam, all these tall bowlers from a high release point, while I think Sunrise Hyderabad's bowlers tried too many variations in this on this pitch.
think I think
No, no,
some network.
yeah. So what do you think about Sunrisers Hyderabad's approach? I was just talking about how they batted. Was it just related to conditions, or do you feel Sunrisers Hyderabad's batters also didn't play well, or was it just about very good bowling?
See, I think obviously, I think GT bowlers were fantastic, especially the speed pacers. I think they were fantastic, hitting the right line and length. I think they were very good, hitting consistently in the perfect line and length. And test match bowling, the way they were bowling, kind of test match stuff. Slips were there. And I think Shubman Gill was brilliant, I think, as a captain. I think he understood the conditions and the way the bowlers were bowling, and he continued with pacers only. So I think that was a good captaincy moment. And I think for Shiraz and Lavada, I think the same template with the new ball, they were fantastic. Yes, I think SRH batters could have done a better job, but see, I think modern day T20 batters, mostly who plays for SRH sides, they are typical, you can see if you could see the dismissal of Ishan Kishan. There was no good movement. He just threw his back and he got that edge. So I think there are a thing of missing a little bit of technical stuff or something, and that can happen. In modern T20s, that can happen, and we have seen that. And that is a problem of area in a pitch where something is there for the bowler, and that is I think affected SRH batting. So overall, I think we have to give credit to GT bowlers, especially the pacers. They are fantastic, and it was a very very convincing win for them at the right moment in the context of the tournament.
Definitely it is, and the biggest takeaway from this game, is again GT top order. A lot has been talked about GT's top order, how much team is relied on them. But today, you know, on a pitch where there was a lot of assistance for the bowlers, for GT to score somewhere around 170, 160, it was a good enough total, especially given the assistance that Pacers found on this track. And this tells you that this team is definitely completely not completely reliant on the top order, even if there is a collapse. And Washington Sundar, I remember him playing similar sort of innings in Hyderabad last year against the same opposition. In that game, he scored a 40 odd. Today, he scored his second IPL half century. So I think this game, it gives a big statement as well. It's a big statement from the batting point of view. Obviously, see, in the pre-match also we were discussing about how strong their bowling attack is, and they can easily defend any total, given the quality of their bowling attack and the given that all the bowlers or most of their bowlers are in form. And this what happened. But more starting when there was a lot of pressure, and then Sai Sudarshan was there. We know how many times we have already seen Sai Sudarshan also becomes the first batter in this particular season to cross the 500 run mark. He's the orange cap, last year's orange cap holder as well. And whenever there is pressure, whenever team has, somewhat is cornered, Sai Sudarshan has bailed the team out. If it's not Sai Sudarshan, then it's Shubman Gill, Josh Butler, somebody is there. Today it was Sai Sudarshan. And then the way Washington Sundar played the role as a senior player, he's donning that responsibility that he's an capped Indian player and playing with full responsibility and taking calculative risk. There's a we talked about this, the significant improvement that he has done in his batting. How impressive the batting show was, especially given the way they started in the power play and given how good SRH bowling has been in this season.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this in the pre-match as well. That SRH, I mean, power play bowlers are all can also be lethal, if not as lethal as the GT bowlers, but they are also genuine wicket takers. So that's what we saw today. They also used the conditions really well. They were able to dismiss the inform. Shubman Gill, Josh Butler got out, but I mean, yeah, I know people are talking about the fact that Sai Sudarshan did struggle, and he did struggle a bit. He was, he it was getting difficult for him to time the ball, even full, uh, proper deliveries he was missing. Full tosses also he was not being able to connect. But the thing is, it was very important for him to stay and hold on to one end, and he did that. The others who came in, Nishan Sindhu, for example, I did not expect him to have that big of an impact in his. This is the first time he's coming out at number 4 and he's hitting those runs. And Sai Sudarshan was holding on to one end. He was anchoring the innings, which is very, very important. Instead of everybody hitting big shots. And then he accelerated later on. He looked in good touch as well towards the end. And I mean, of course, he has been in good form. He's the orange cap holder from the previous season. He's the first batter who brought up 500-run mark in this year's IPL, moved up the ladder. I mean, brilliant, brilliant form. Not just the fact that he has been playing well individually, but also the fact that he has been standing up for the team in times of need. Someone or the other will stand up for the team, and that has been brilliant from GT's side. So, I mean, great impact from Sai Sudarshan and Washington Sundar as well. Yes, I sort of expected him to rise to the occasion because the previous two innings that he played, I mean, I know he's carrying that confidence from those two, knocks that he has played, and also the fact that despite the criticisms, despite the questions that were raised on him, the team kept backing him. He has now, at this point in the tournament, if you look at his gameplay, it is very evident that he has perfect role clarity. He knows what he is doing. He will go out there, he will hit, he will take his time to pace his innings, play according to the conditions, and then accelerate. And I think he was brilliant. Those inside out shots, the way he was tackling the Yorkers, especially. Some of these shots, I don't even know what to call them because I don't know what they're called. I mean, proper innovative shots, absolutely, I don't know, dominating the bowlers. I think along with the top three, now someone like a Washington Sundar coming in who's also acting as a reliable batter, it augurs really, really well for Gujarat Titans. I mean, other than the top three, somebody else also taking responsibility. I think great, great show from them. We didn't, I at least at one point didn't expect them to put up 168. So good job.
Bharat, as more mentioned, SRH cornered GT in the power play, and then they had a perfect opportunity to apply the choke, which they did. Sai Sudarshan was still struggling even after Nishan Sindhu got out. They had the perfect opportunity to do the damage during the middle overs. But Shivang Kumar conceding 19 runs of his 2 overs. Ishan Malinga's the standout bowler of this season. Him leaking 46 runs of his 4 overs, not taking a single wicket. And Pat Cummins, finishing his spell early. Of course, he was bowling well, so he finished his spell early. That was a decision taken by him. But apart from Pat Cummins and Prafulinge, Shakib Hussain also took wickets in the last, but he was also expensive. So, do you think that there was a lack of support and that middle over phase where Ishan Malinga and Shivank Umar were expected to do the damage at least one wicket? They went wicketless, and it had a lot of impact in the total that GT were managed to post.
Yes, see, I will go back to the same point that I made, that they perhaps tried too many cutters, too many variations in these conditions. Would rather bowl test match lengths. That is what Gujarat Titans' pace attack is basically known for. If you look at those four pace bowlers, to varying degrees, they have found some success in Test cricket. Robert obviously has found a lot more success in Test cricket. but all four of them come from school of test match bowling. Even including Prasidh, they come from school of test match bowling in the terms of their lengths. But if you look at SRH pace attack, Ehsan Malinga, someone like Saqib Hussain come more from the T20 school of bowling. They use a few more cutters. In these conditions, somewhere I think it went against them, even including Ehsan Malinga. I don't think he's a test match kind of a bowler. He's more of a T20 kind of bowler. Yes, I understand. I've seen him get a little bit of sea moment in A series between South Africa A and Sri Lanka A, but still I would look at him as more of a limited overs bowler. Same thing can be said about Saqib Hussain. I think that was the difference between SRS space attack and GT space attack. And yes, in between, Gujarat Titans, I think, targeted that 1 over of Shivang Kumar, couple of overs of Shivang Kumar. That tells you that Gujarat Titans is very much a method side. They understand what kind of score they need. Ideally, they would have liked a score of 180, considering that the opposition still had some uh, gun players who, if they had got going, yes, the conditions helped Gujarat Titans' fast bowlers, but if they had got going, they would have, I think, wanted a score of around 180. But still, they got to a very competitive total, and that is why I think Gujarat Titans is very methodical side. On the other hand, I think Sunrisers Hyderabad tried too many of these variations, and I think that was the telling difference between Gujarat Titans' space attack and Sunrisers Hyderabad space attack.
Snesh, if you talk about SRH pace attack, we talked about Prafulinge, Pat Cummins doing the damage, but then not getting enough support. But at the same time, the way Washington Sundar accelerated at the latter end of his innings was impressive. Because it was not an easy wicket again, but then from a point of strike, not able to strike the ball really well, to coming to his own and then finding the boundaries at the right time and choosing how important it becomes in a format like this, that you have to choose your bowlers, pick your bowlers and target them successfully, not losing its wicket. Now we are seeing the other side of Washington Sundar as well, not just an anchor. Now he's staying there, he's finishing the games, he's making sure that he's there and doing the finishing thing as well. And this is a positive sign for Gujarat Titans, which they can take forward, because bowling was always their strong suit, but their middle order, how they will score runs today. Even we will look at the Rahul Tewatia's contribution. Came in,
Yeah.
played only one ball, got a
So
boundary. And Jason Holder, despite spending 10 balls enough time at the crease, he was clearly struggling. Jason Holder has been in good striking form if you look at his last 6 months, but he struggled. So, but Washington Sundar made sure that he provides the finishing touches as a set batter. How important it becomes as a set batter on tricky surfaces, on challenging surfaces, to make sure that you bat till the end, till the very end, and bat deep and allow others to bat around you. And that's what Washington Sundar did.
See, I think one thing is there that on tricky surfaces, always the technical batters do well. If you are technically solid, then on a tricky surface, he or she will do well. I think today, if you see the two batters who did well for GT, especially, Sai Sudarshan and Washington Sundar, both are technically very solid. For India also, they have shown that, and in domestic cricket, we have seen, both play for their state team, in the top order, and because why they play, because they're very technically solid. They are known for scoring big runs. So I think again today on a pitch where every other batter struggles, especially who are known for their explosiveness in modern T20s, they struggled mainly. Yes, obviously one Shubman Gill was there. You expect someone like Gill to do well in this kind of pitch, but it's okay. It can happen one day. But again, those two names, obviously Sai Sudarshan and Washington Sundar, technically two solid batters, and they did exceptionally well. But one thing you have to, you just mentioned, I also agree that the way Sundar has batted in the last three games, I think this is the role that GT would have planned for him. That okay, in this role we want someone like Washington Sundar to play for us. Maybe he was obviously, I think the management has told him earlier of the season, but maybe he was taking some time. But now in the last three games, finally he has managed to to fulfill that role perfectly, I will say. Last two games we saw, and today also, I think in this pitch 33 over 50 was like a gold dust. So I think he did his job. And now see, when you see the opposition batting in the second innings, the way their bowlers bowled, I think they need to know the more importance of that knock. So excellent knock under pressure, and as you mentioned, not only he is anchoring the innings, he is also giving those needed finishing touches. So I think that is what needed, and that has been the problem for GT for last few years. That whenever those top three batters fail, there there has been a lack of contribution from the middle order. But now someone like Washington Sundar chipping in for the last three games in a consecutive manner. I think that is a major boost from them in the context of the I'm telling from the batting unit. Obviously, I think inclusion of Jason Holder also helped them in that case. He can come out and score those important quick runs. Yes, in this tricky pitch, it might be difficult for him as well. But on flat decks, he is a good inclusion for that batting unit. So if someone like Washington Sundar can continue this kind of a form, I think that an added boost for this batting unit, and for GT, it's a very good sign.
Or could SRH batters might have showed a bit more application, would have applied a bit more because if a all rounder like Washington Sundar can, if Sai Sudarshan can, then you had players like top international players like Abhishek Sharma, Travis Head, all in form. Ishan Kishan, you talk about Heinrich Klaasen, you talk about Nitish Kumar Reddy, all top five of your players are currently playing for their respective teams, and could have applied better. But this is where I remember the 2024 season where SRH were going bonkers against all kinds of bowling attacks, and then we used to when there will be a line drawn between aggression and controlled aggression, and again today, you know, it seemed like on tricky surfaces these batters are getting out just because they don't know how to tackle these situations, because they are not used to doing it. They are used to playing on flat wickets, and when there is just a little bit of movement, not like it was swinging right, left, and center. It was banana swing everywhere. It wasn't like that. There was little bit of help, and of course GT bowlers they bowled really well. But as a batting unit, SRH failed miserably, because if on a wicket, even if you are not if you are being bundled out for the lowest score in your history, then that's a concern given the stage at the tournament in which SRH is.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought it up because this has become the modern day T20 template, and it might be a controversial opinion. And even if this template works, in majority of these flat pitches, the moment a tricky pitch comes into playing, that template will not work, or it will end up in results like these. So I think the SRH batters should have taken a little bit of time, since they know the conditions, right? They've bowled there, they know the way the GT batters, the top order, the way they lost their wickets. So they could have probably taken a little bit of time, assess the conditions well. Patience was the key, I think, which lacks in a lot of T20 batters now. um, sure, in the era of hitting every ball and strike rate, people think that I'll just hit a six in every ball. That's how I'll play my T20 game. But that's not how it works every time. Not in every wicket, especially at this pitch. That template would not have worked. Yeah, and it was, very predictable. Also, Abhishek Sharma has this tendency of stepping out every time and swinging the bat. But that will not work in every delivery, in every pitch. So I think what they lacked tonight was patience, and properly pacing the innings properly would have helped them, instead of swinging the bat for every delivery. It would not have worked. But of course, we have to give credit to the GT bowlers as well, because obviously they did what they did, and when they knew that a pitch was like that, the pitch was like that, it would have favored the pacers, and they knew the pace attack in front of them. They could have played a lot more carefully. Is what I feel.
Bharat, I want to know from you, was it a bad shot selection, poor application? What exactly went wrong? Because if a strong batting lineup, which has been in form, doing really well, clicking as a unit in the last 5-6 games, suddenly they come to a venue, and then where the conditions are tricky and it don't even score 100 runs. Even with an impact player rule, is a bit surprising. So what was the reason for? What do you think went wrong for SRH? Was it a bad shot selection, like Moore pointed out? Is it necessary for Abhishek for for him to get out of the crease and try to tackle the ball, swinging ball or moving ball in that fashion? Was it that the way Travis had got out, he was in no position to play that shot where he was hitting and where the ball went? So is it the shot selection or is it something else?
So I again say the same thing. To start with, you have to give a lot of credit to Gujarat Titans' pace attack because they were relentless. See, when your four seamer is also a 6 feet 3 inch fast bowler coming in and bowling at 143 kilometers per hour, getting bounce, getting it to nip in those conditions, it's always going to be very difficult to play against that attack. So that's the first point to think of. I guess he lost internet. Anyway, coming back to this, as far as Travis side is concerned, see, he plays in that way every single time. Even when he played that great 100, cracked that great 100 in the Perth Test in the second innings, he was playing the same way. The ball was nipping around in that game as well. He was up against 3, 4 tall fast bowlers in that match as well. But everything clicked for him. I don't think he will change his game. When it clicks, it really clicks well for Travis Head. When it doesn't, he just looks like one of those, what can you say, second-rate batters. That is how Travis Head plays every single time. As far as Abhishek Sharma, same thing I can say. He's born in this era. He's a modern day T20 quintessential T20 batter. So tomorrow also, if he's going to play in front of here, in front of Banshankari here, in front of my gate, he will play in a similar fashion. So that is how Abhishek Sharma plays every single time. Even in the garden here, if he plays, he will play in a similar fashion. So that is how modern day batter is built. And to add to that, it's not so easy to play C moments. Yes, you can, there is a method against swing bowling, but when the ball is nipping off the pitch and at 140 kilometers per hour and with some bounce, I think you need an exceptionally, technically, an exceptionally good batter who can handle this kind of conditions. And not many are going around. Maybe in this day and age, KL Rahul at his absolute best when he's in good rhythm, when he's in good space of mind. Maybe he might have handled these conditions because I remember his 100th centurion 3 years ago in a test match. Very similar kind of, obviously, the ball did more in that test match and he cracked that brilliant 100. So maybe a player like him might have handled these conditions, but very few can get through this kind of an attack or wade through this kind of an attack and do well. Yes, a lot of credit has to go to GT's batters as well. Although I have to add that GT's bowling attack in these conditions was better than SRS bowling attack. So finally, I will still give credit to GT's pace bowling attack. And as far as SRS batting unit is concerned, they will play in a similar fashion tomorrow as well, or in some Maidan or in some garden or wherever it is, because that is the template.
But that will not work every time. If you remember the 2024 season as well, in the finals, same thing happened against a quality bowling attack.
But there's a caveat to it. In T20
Yeah.
cricket, you might get such conditions where the ball is moving around once in maybe 10 games. So I think
Yeah.
they got the template right. Just that unfortunate for them in the 2024 IPL. In the final itself, the ball slipped around a bit. I don't know why they prepared those kind of conditions for a final, but SRH were at the receiving end in that game.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, unfortunately, Vaibhav's current has gone off, so that is why he couldn't join back. But okay, before wrapping up, I will just come to with the last question to Mohor. Okay, yes, Mohor is there. Okay, Mohor is also gone now. No, okay, Mohor is also gone now. Okay, I think it's time to wrap up the show. Bharat, last question for you. Yeah, last question for you, Bharat. Shubman Gill as the captain. I think Mohor is back. You just started that. Shubman Gill as the captain. Did he do his job correctly?
See, I think he's a good captain. He's Sabad who rotates the ballers reasonably well. I think first of all, I have to say that GT is very much a method side, so they understand what exactly they have to do. It's coming right from the coaching staff as well, from their mentors, from their coaches, and obviously Shubman Gill is implementing those plans quite well because you can see from ball one they understood
Yeah.
what exactly they have to do in these conditions. They had to get somehow 160 or 170. Ideally, yes, they would have wanted 180, considering that the opposition still had some big names, but they wanted at least 160, 170. They somehow got there. They knew that they had all those tall boys to come in and
Yeah.
blast out the opponent, and everything went as per plan. So yes, Gill is a good captain, but I think it's also very much a method side where everything is implemented right from the top, and obviously someone like Shubman Gill is also implementing those plans quite well.
Yes, absolutely. More your thoughts on Shubman Gill captaincy?
I think first things first, they are all functioning really well as a unit. The management, the coaches, everybody, the captain, everyone. It just looks like everyone is in rhythm. There is no confusion. They finally have their combination right. That is first things first. And yeah, of course, and Shubman Gill as well has been evolving, I'd say, a lot with each passing game. At their home ground, at an away ground, the way he is utilizing his pacers, especially I had talked about the way he's using three of them. I mean, both of them giving them 3 overs each in the power play. That has worked really well, and they would not move away from this strategy that they have come up with. So this, I think, is really good. The bowling changes have been really nice. Understanding the conditions of the pitch and then utilizing the bowlers accordingly. Rashid Khan today, I was talking to you. Rashid Khan came in much
Yeah.
later because they realized, yeah, he realized that pace would be more effective here. So he kept bowling his pacers. So that was a good move. I'd say his field placements have been really good. Very attacking captaincy, I would say, bringing in a slip. And today there was this one catch that was taken in the gully region.
Mhm.
I don't exactly remember who took it, but uh,
I think
very
Washington.
interesting. Yeah. Washington Sundar, that catch from him. I think very interesting field placements, attacking captaincy, and he has been growing a lot as a captain. So, of course, it is good for Gujarat Titans and it is also good for the Indian team since he is the
Yes,
skipper of the Indian
absolutely.
side
The
as well.
bigger picture, the Indian team. That's a good
Absolutely.
start. Yes. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bharat. Thank you, Mohar, and thank you, obviously, Vaibhav as well. So yeah, and thank you for everyone who commented. And obviously, a huge win for GT. Top of the table for sure for Shubman Gill and his men. And tomorrow again, we'll be back with both the pre and post match show before tomorrow's IPL game. Till then, take care and good night. Thank you.